3, 2, 1, and we are live.
Hello, hello. How are you all doing this morning? I hope you are feeling energized and ready for a great session. We are happy to have you here, that you are attending this fair. Sometimes we can ask ourselves, what is growing in the technical path? Because I'm not interested into management. Questions like this in industry like semiconductors, where innovations moves really fast, this question become more relevant. Today we are going to explore what it takes to growth in the technical path, the skills you need, the different specialization path, and the trends that are shaping this very important sector. It is my pleasure to introduce Guile Gutierrez. He is an electronics engineer from Tecnológico de Veracruz and holds a master's degree in analog VLSI design from INAOE. He has more than 24 years of experience in the semiconductors industry, working on integrating circuit design for different applications and participating in almost every stage of the semiconductor product development process. He was a founding member of the first integrated circuit design group established in Mexico by Motorola SPS in 2000. And throughout his career, he has worked as a companies like Motorola, Freescale, Semiconductors, Intel, and today in Micron. Today, as a principal engineer in circuit design, he will share his academic journey, his personal experience in the semiconductors industry and in Mexico, and his perspective on how to grow in the technical path. Gile, thank you so much for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Noor. Thank you for the presentation. And well, good morning to everybody. Welcome to attending this chat. First, thank for also the invitation. So the idea of the chat is to share what has been my personal experience and what is my perspective about the growing in the technical path. Okay, so it might sound as a cliche, but it really matters that you look or dedicate for something that you like to do. There is a lot of sayings about it, but it really is worth it. I mean, there is nothing more pleasant than to do something that you like, to get passionate, and then get a payment because of it. So in my experience, well, as Nori mentioned, I'm an electrical engineer from a federal institution that was called Tecnológico de Veracruz at that time. Now all are part of the system called Tecnológico Nacional de Mexico with different campuses across the country. So I started there for electronics. Was something that I was interested since I was in secondary school, high school. And of course, I did not understand too much about it. I was just curious about how the things worked. And I think that's a kind of similar, likely feature, no, for being an engineer. This is mostly related with when you have a genuine curiosity about how the things work. It doesn't matter. I mean, in this case, IEEE is about electrical, electronics, and all the other subjects that touch or are part of the discipline and helps other industries. But as an engineer, you really, I think what matters is this interested to know, to understand how the things work. It doesn't matter if it is a mechanical system, hydraulic system. And as you advance in your career, you will realize that what it matters is to understand the physics and technicalities about any system. It doesn't matter if it is an electrical phenomenon, mechanical phenomenon. Most likely, it will be a conjunction of all of them. In electronic devices, which you need to take into account temperature, right? So that's a phenomena you need to understand how the gradients of of temperatures created in the materials, in the circuits, etc. So, in my opinion, having a genuine interest to understand how the things work, it really helps. It really makes you to to keep thinking about how to solve things, how you think they work, and how sometimes you think it might be improved. So that's, I think, a fundamental characteristic or feature that makes you, that puts you in the path to eventually grow. So it might depends, right? Not all the persons thinks the same. Not all the situations is the same. But most of the time, this interest is what you make you grow, what makes you keep in the technical path. But also you can learn it, even if it's not your favorite topic, you can be good at it, right? The talent not always is coupled with what you like. Learning how to get advantage of it is also a good goal, a good way to grow in technical path. You might be not so fond about technical things, about how they work, but you might have a talent about to understand how they work, about to understand complex system, be able to analyze them, and then build on top of it. So it might be a natural talent. So if you decide to take advantage of it, even if there is not the most fun thing you can find, it will also allow the people to grow in the technical path. So now, with regard to my path, well, as I mentioned, I did my bachelor in Tecnológico de Veracruz. In that time, we have to do some industry stay-in or internships. It was a new program in the time. I'm talking about 97, 98, 1998, last century. So we were looking about where to do it and what industry. It came out that the internship could be done also in a research center. And that's what, when I found the existence of INAUE, an institute in Puebla. So we took the opportunity, a group of teammates, students in that time, and we went to do our internship there. Being embedded in a research center kind of opened your eyes about other things that can be done, other topics that can be researched, new things that you didn't have idea, and sometimes you do not realize of it when you were studying. So also being close to graduate, right, without any job, it makes me keep the interest to do a postgraduate. So I kept in the institute, I applied, and I was admitted to do a master's degree there. It came out that some of the research lines in the center was precisely integrated circuit design. They were analog and digital. And it really caught my attention, the topics about analog circuitry design. So that's the way I end up doing that. Of course, in those times, there were no industry, no jobs in the country related to that. There were no companies that were doing integrated circuit design in Mexico. I did that. I studied that because I like it. It caught my attention. And I really thought that I would end up, doing research, being a teacher, in a university or researcher. And that's how I started that path. Now, for fast forward in 2000s to 2 years later, Motorola, in that time, there were a sector of the Motorola company called SPS, the semiconductor product sector. They decided to put a design center in Latin America. I think they had already one in Brazil at that time. So they were looking for another one and decided to put in Mexico. And also they chose Puebla. So they started to interview people from INAUE, and that's when I get a job there. A job that I never thought I would have, right? Because in that time, there were no companies offering those jobs. So I was a junior, right? A fresh graduated, even from master, but a fresh graduated. And that's when I started my journey in this industry. Uh, there were designs of whole chips, but there were small chips. There were a line of products called timing solutions. There was clock buffers, basically, zero delay buffers, frequency synthesizers. And that gives you a perspective how it's to work internationally, because it was an American company. We used to work with people already, I mean, we used to work already people in Asia, Taiwan, eventually some in Europe, eventually also in India, and of course in USA all the time. So what makes you grow in the technical area? Basic, again, it's you should do what you like to do. And because it really helps, as any other industry, sometimes it could be hard, right? It's difficult, there is pressure. But if you like what you do, that really diminishes any pressure about the business. For instance, it's like if you like to play in a sport, basketball, soccer, etc. Sometimes you might be very tired, right, at the end of a match or a game. But because you like it, you don't feel it, right? You will keep playing up to the last minute because you are getting fun. It's the same when you work. If you like what you do, very likely any pressure, any difficulty, it will not be a burden because you are really enjoying what you do. And again, as an engineer, I think one of the main um, enjoying parts is when something you imagine, something you think it should be different, it comes out to be right. When something, in this case, that you design, you can eventually see it working, and you can eventually see that it's really changing something. That's a really pleasant and great enjoy about uh, doing work as an engineer. So just to reinforce the idea, as long as you keep doing what you like, and also the next important one, keep learning about it, you will be able to grow in the technical path. Okay. Now, in terms of industry, you also need adaptability because you might like to do the things in certain ways. But if it is not needed by the industry, it's not needed by the market, you will need to change and adapt. So you learn along the years and with experience that not everything is exactly the way you like and the way you think it should be. If you have a good idea and it's difficult to implement it, the key to achieve it is to keep trying, right? You can adapt yourself to the situation, to the business, but if you keep trying, you will eventually get there. It might take 1 year, it might take 5 or 10 years, but you will get there. And again, to reinforce always, as long as you're doing something you like, it won't be that difficult. The time will pass and the achievements and things that you have done will be accumulated. And by the way, that's what it's called experience. Everybody does mistakes. I had my share of it, right? Everybody will do mistakes along the way in your career path. The experience is really the result of all those mistakes you have done in the past. So, in terms of, for instance, if you eventually help to create a group in the industry, the idea to have experienced people with junior or less experienced people is to avoid the mistakes that experienced people has already done. That's what experience is about. Learning you had in the past, mistakes you did, that you should not do it again, right? Because you already did it. And ideally, you learned about it. So that takes us to another topic. Other fundamental thing doing engineering is that you understand what you do. In a lot of process, in a lot of industry, the work is about to carry on the process, right? There's things that are done a certain way, and you should do it that way. But it's extremely highly recommended that you understand why. The why is what gives you the tools, the skills to be able to improve something. There can be a lot of new ideas, right? Talented and new engineers normally has fresh, good ideas. But the main drawback is when they do not understand why the things are done the way are done currently. So once you understand the why, you are able to change it. You are able to improve it. You are able to fix it. There will be reasons why the things are done in a certain way. It doesn't mean once you understand it, again, you will be able to do something about it. Now, those reasons might be valid or not. That's a different story. But as long as you understand why they are done in that way, it will give you the ability to change it, improve it, or fix it if you have realized that they are not good in the way they are done. So that's another uh, perspective, a good topic to talk about. Always look to understand why the things are done the way they are done. Sorry for the redundancy, but uh, specifically in design, when you design something, you need to understand it. Circuitry, systems, etc. Once you understand something, most of the times you will be able to see how far it can go, how much it's going to be working. I mean, how long, sorry, it's going to be working, or under which situations it's going to fail. There is no perfect system. Every system designed and existent, even in the nature and the universe, it will fail in certain condition or will work differently, right? Failure is a comparison against something you you are looking or you expect, but the system will behave differently under certain circumstances. When you understand why the system is working in the way it does, you will be able to change it, fix it, or adjust it. So that's another, I think, basic matter, basic subject to take into account. Okay. First, just to uh, summarize. First, if you don't like it, try to do to find the fun of what you do. So in general, if you like what you do, it's going to be great. Keep learning. Always keep learning. Always look to learn something, to know something else. And look to understand why the things work in the way they are, or why the things are done in the way they are done currently. I think those three basic things will allow you to grow in the technical path. It will allow you to create and to fix issues and to come up with new proposals. And in engineering, that's basically what makes you to grow in the technical side. Now, uh, as an industry, where in general, any progress in the mankind, we're not alone. You will always work with somebody else. So never put aside all the needed people skills. When you are in the industry and any work, you need to be professional. And what it means is all interactions or your relations with your peers in the work should be kept professional. One thing I tell to my teammates, and it's not that I'm against it, but the the basic line in professionality is to go to a work to help, right? To give what you have, to learn and keep helping, right? Developing, whatever. But the idea is that you help. Not always you're going to make friends, right? So the relations between persons need to be kept professional. So in that way, the interaction will help and also will help you to grow. Now, other aspect of the human interaction is most of the time, if you help the people to grow, it will make you grow also. For the juniors, engineers have some experience. Uh, Even if what I've been telling them is it might be a point in which your experience is such that you might be able to do everything, at least everything in the line of product or the industry or the sector you're working, right? So you might have all the knowledge needed to create from scratch up to the final product, but you just work 8 hours a day, and the day just have 24 hours. So that's a limiting you how much you can do. That's where it comes to work with the people, work with a team. You will eventually need to grow people in order to grow yourself. The technical path, even though it sounds on a wolf alone, is not. At certain level, you need help, and not, and also for feedback. Not all the things you think are correct, right? There might be, there will always be somebody looking at a different perspective, a perspective you have not taken into account, and that helps you to improve or to make your idea better. And also, even if you have very good idea, it might be a point in which you won't have the time to implement all of them, right? Even if you have all the experience, you won't have the time to do all the work by yourself, even if you know it. So that when it comes that you need to work with another team members, we need to work with more people, and you eventually need to lead them. If you reach a point in which you are the most experienced engineer or person in your group, in the company, or wherever you work, wherever you're working, sorry, you will need to lead people. So, and it's not like you be a manager, it's a different path, but the direction and leading, it will be always needed for a grow even in the technical path. So it's not a path in which you will remain working by yourself all the time. In the beginning, it might be straightforward or easier, small tasks, small assignments, might be more or less bigger, but eventually the time is limited. You will need more persons to help. And that's what it becomes important to have a certain amount of people's skills or soft skills, they are called, right? How to interact with other people, how to help them, how to help yourself by helping them or helping them to help yourself. I mean, eventually the development in all the industries are team efforts. It's very unlikely that one person can achieve everything. It's not impossible, but very unlikely. And in very and highly specialized industries, well, electronics, medicines, mechanics, chemistry, the development requires a lot of people participating and helping. So most of the time, what is desired is that the most experienced people is the one leading, right? Because again, the most experienced people is who made more mistakes than the rest. So it becomes kind of the fittest one to be leading and avoid that the rest do the same mistakes he or she already did. So that part also is needed to keep growing in the technical path. It's not a career alone. You will eventually need uh, other teammates to help you and to create things. Okay. Now, the last topic is how's the current situation in our country with regards to semiconductor industry. And of course, it's again a personal perspective. Uh, as I told you already, I started working in 2000, right? More than 20 years ago. There were very few companies, maybe one or two at most. Eventually, people, more industry came to our country. Some other uh, persons developed their own business in the industry. That's a great effort. I mean, an entrepreneurship or um, hired by a company, different things, even if in the same area. It requires different skills. So currently, it's a good momentum. Uh, it was a good coincidence that now a federal level in our country, there is a good push to improve or to uh, uh, do more popular all what is related to the semiconductor industry. So it's not like a fashion, I would say, but it's more popular now. So are more young people is turning their heads into this kind of industry, which is a good industry to grow. Technical, it really offers a very good challenges for the people that like to think and fix issues, for the engineers. And also it's provides a good payment. It's a well paid jobs because all these industries generate a good amount of money. I mean, they are good businesses. So that's my perspective. That's the way I think how you can grow in the technical path. But again, it's like life. There is no recipe. Everybody has a different path, a different experience, but most of them will be related with the three things I mentioned, right? Keep working, doing what you like to do, right? Keep learning all the time, right? And try to understand why, how the things work. Huh? Keep professional. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for the attention.
Thank you, Gile, for sharing with us those big tips and advices that surely have helped you to grow as you have growth in this semiconductor industry. I would like to emphasize what you said that nothing is achieved by ourselves, and we need to how to know how to work as in teams as a teams in a professional way. Thank you, Gile, and thank you everyone for joining this session today. We invite you to continue with the rest of the agenda topics. We are having now a panel related to the future of the workforce in Latin America. So see you there. Thank you again, Gile.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye bye. You too.